This is where I'm staying in a place called Rinku Town. It's in Osaka Prefecture, but about an hour and change away from downtown Osaka. It's right by Kansai International Airport. I'm not headed towards Osaka City today. Instead, I'm heading the other direction. And after getting a quick breakfast of a curry bread eaten at the station, I'm in Wakayama. Wakayama is like kind of just south of Osaka, and I'm actually not headed towards Wakayama permanently either. I did have a nice little stroll through Wakayama though, got to see some cool abandoned buildings. This one kind of threw me because it's so huge and so overgrown. It looks like some sort of like corporate office, but it even had its own like walking bridge to get to it, so it had to have been pretty legit at the time. More sights from the city, including this Hummer dealership that also looks like it's out of business, nothing inside or outside. Across the street there was a Jeep dealership, and if you look close inside, there's a hot pink Jeep Wrangler. And I love this owl mascot on what is actually an oil drum, so probably not great for owls in there, but I love the mascot. This is the river right kind of by the port of Wakayama, which is where we're headed to hop on a ferry to go to Tokushima. This is the ferry terminal, and here's a fun Pikachu telling me to be safe around water. I'll do my best, bud. And of course, the ferry has two anime girl mascots. You can tell this area is a bit more industrial than touristy, including this steel factory that uses this big pile of coking coal that came from the same region in Australia I was just in. The ferry itself is pretty old-fashioned, looked like it was like from the 80s or 90s. This is where I spent most of the trip back, but the trip to Tokushima, I got to sit in the first class area. It was only like 500 yen, so I was like, why not? When I got to Tokushima, I was told I couldn't use the Suica thing on my phone to use the bus, and there aren't really tons of trains around there, so I ended up walking most of the day, which will cause problems later. But you did see some cool sights like this sank boat. Sunk? Oh well. My first stop of the day was actually a mall. It's an Aeon Mall. I went to one in Okinawa last year. I just needed to get out of the sun, and it was like the first thing right by the port. So I decided to hop inside and see what they had. More just kind of a place to chill out while the clouds came in. Had some funny name stores like this one, Standard Products. What do you got in there? Oh, standard stuff. They also had a row of gachas, but unfortunately the stuff I wanted was sold out. Like this cat Akabeko sold out. Outside they had a mascot in the Awa Odori, which is the traditional dance of the region. And also just like this bridge with this orange and white patterns, tons of bridges. None of them I think were this cool. Next stop was the Heart Off, which I'm sure sounds funny to a lot of people. It's actually just a second-hand store. It sells all sorts of things, fishing rods, vinyls, anime figures, video games. They actually have some pretty good anime figures for a pretty decent price, down to, cheaper ones you can get kind of anywhere. A lot of what they had were like guitars and musical instruments. They were also like really cheap. Part of the reason I was like in and out without buying anything was like, oh, there's no way for me to get any of these guitars back to the US in my suitcase. So I decided it's like, better leave. Also outside they had this Pikachu vending machine, which was pretty fun. Hi Pikachu. Across from the Heart Off there was like this river walk that could take you through most of the city. I think I only put in like one or two shots of the river, but I loved this kind of, even on a cloudy day, a nice cool shot of the river. They also had a lot of these kind of like overpasses that go over the streets. You see them in anime all the time, so I get a lot of these street shots, a lot of these path pictures looking off either end of the street. Also, I loved this shot for some reason, a vacant lot. Over there is the first actual tourist attraction that I'll be getting to, and it is the Washi no Mon, or Eagle Gate, outside of the ruins of Tokushima Castle. It opens to this big courtyard, kind of iconic for the city. Empty, even though the city was pretty populated. This is the ruins of Tokushima Castle. It has a moat. You see like the stone walls. Pretty nice place to sit and chill out. You could actually walk up to the top of the walls, as we'll see in a second, hopefully. How are we gonna get there? I should have edited this better. There we go. Up there, you get a cool shot of the courtyard. There's actually seats overlooking kind of the rest of the ruins, a nice place to have a picnic if you felt so inclined. This is the Castle Museum, which I didn't go into because I was kind of like pressed for time because I had to get the ferry home and a lot of stuff I wanted to see and do. Um, like have this picnic, not in the great picnic spot I just pointed out, but still got a pretty nice view under this cool tree. On the move again, this time I was headed towards a place called S Dream. It's an anime store. On the way, I saw this cool tanuki on a power box. Um, but I just love kind of like the route it took me on down these kind of like, they're not essentially back streets or they're not really arcades either. We'll get to an arcade in a second, a shopping arcade, a Shotengai. This is what it is, not a video game arcade, which they call a game center. And there it is, S Stream, and I probably bought too much while I was in there. Next, I moved on to this building, which is probably most famous for housing the Awa Odori Kaikan, the museum for that kind of traditional dance. I also just love this kind of tooth billboard, get them teeth maki, I guess. But the building also holds the ropeway for Mount Bizan, the kind of the big mountain in the town, and that's why I went there to kind of take the ropeway up and get a kind of mountaintop view of the city. Also interesting in this rope car, like the description of like what the ropeway is in the mountain was done by Rengoku from Demon Slayer, like the voice actor in character, and I was like, why is Rengoku in this? Also, they had kind of these Fate posters and a Fate vending machine. It turns out there's a UFO table cafe at the top of the mountain. I did not go in; it was booked out at the time, where I probably would have. And we got these kind of, I'll call them nice views of Tokushima. I thought they were very serene and peaceful. Here you can see that orange and white bridge in the distance. That's where we walked from. Here we got the back side of the mountain, just the innards of Shikoku. Another nice picnic spot where I could have eaten but didn't. There's also, I kind of love these like radio towers at the top of the mountain. You can see them from kind of like everywhere in the city. Here's the other side of Tokushima that I'm not going to visit because it's time to visit the UFO Table Cinema. Not actually, it's actually just next to the anime that I wanted to visit. And actually, the best thing about this anime wasn't the cool anime products. In fact, they had Dr. Pepper in there. It's like the only soda they had. I also love this Dr. Pepper label of like traditional American couple. I guess this is what Dr. Pepper is in Japan. Walking back, we got some different views of the city, took a different path home to see more of it, get a couple more cool shots, like these postmodern Awa Odori dancers that look like they're from the movie AI and slightly terrifying. These will haunt my dreams for a while, I guess. Back in Wakayama, I took this neat little fish train. It only goes one stop from the port to the main Wakayama station. It wasn't running in the morning, which led to problems I'll get to in a second. But for dinner, I decided to share a karage-kun with this pom-pom Purin who's eating karage-kun that I got at S Stream. If I didn't explain it last year, it's basically little chicken nuggets you eat with a toothpick. They're actually a lot better than you'd think for convenience store chicken. And that was Tokushima. This behind me is not Tokushima. This is actually Gifu because I'm a few days late on editing these. Uh, I also didn't mention in the video why I wanted to go to Tokushima. Tokushima is like one of the least visited prefectures by foreign tourists in all of Japan. About 0.2% of all tourists, foreign tourists, go to Tokushima, so that's the same rate as the state of Delaware. So I was like, this should be fun, someplace to go. Hopefully it came across as fun. I had a lot of fun in Tokushima. I did mention the walking thing. I actually got 30,000 steps in that day, which is a good thing for exercise, but a terrible thing for my feet because I got two pretty horrendous blisters on the bottom of my feet that made walking the next couple days like a bit difficult. Tomorrow, it's a few days ago now, but the next video is actually going to be at Osaka Expo, which that ticket was locked in. I couldn't like skip or dip, so I was like, oh, gotta go, and that made my feet a good bit worse. And it wasn't until today that they started feeling slightly better. I had 2 days basically in a car, so that made everything kind of a bit nicer. I can at least stand and do these stand-up things. Uh, but yeah, I actually love Tokushima. I needed that like chill day. First day in Japan. I came from like a 5-day workshop in Australia. There will be a video at the end covering everything. I hope you like coal because it's mostly about coal. Um, but yeah, hope you liked Tokushima. I don't know if I sold it the best. It was kind of cloudy. I really loved uh, Mount Bizan. I love like the view from the top of the mountain. I loved S-Dream. It was a great little anime store. It got all these like weird little things. Outside of that Pom Pom Purin eaten Karage Kun, there was like a little die-cast jet fighter featuring one of the girls from Lucky Star, and I was like, this is just a cool, weird thing that you don't see in a lot of U.S. stores. Um, but yeah, hopefully I get these videos out pretty regularly. Now that I'm less on the mend and less coming home just trying to crash and relax. I'm also noticing there's a lot more gray in my hair than the last time I did these videos. But yeah, hope you liked the video. Keep watching. A lot more fun stuff to come. Bye.